Hello, everyone. Welcome to the tavern. Tonight's episode is sponsored by Mad World. Check them out at www.itsworldmadness.com. Tonight, we are guested by Miss Corbie Mitleid. How are you?
Rocking and rolling, my friends. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. And my co-host Landon, how are you, sir?
Oh, we're living the dream. If the dream was the nightmare on Elm Street.
All day, every day, baby. So, Corbie, you are a psychic? Question mark?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Certified Tarot Master, Past Life Specialist, Psychic Medium, and Channel.
Wow, that is a lot to put in one title.
Mm-hmm.
So, could you break that down for us as to what each of those things are and what that means?
Sure. We'll start it with the 30-second elevator speech, how I got into this. When I was 9, I read a book called The Witch Family, and I thought, oh, there's magic in the world. I want to go find it. Fast forward to 1973 when I was a senior in high school. And yes, dear, that does tell you how old I am. I was working part-time at Spencer Gifts. They had the James Bond 007 tarot deck, and I bought it because we were all hippies then. You had your elephant bell-bottoms, your fringe jacket, and your deck. 5 years later, everybody else had moved on to roller skates and disco balls. I was still reading the cards because they fascinated me. So for 20 years, read for friends, kept my ego on the shelf so I'd be a clear channel for the info. All of a sudden in the early 90s, I could do hands-on healing and talk to dead people with no training. That's when the universe handed me my draft notice and said, hello, you're working for us. So part-time, while I did lots of other stuff, actress, author, inspirational speaker, video producer, legal assistant, executive recruiter, writer for the graphic novel series ElfQuest, but always the psychic on the side, 9/11 comes. My husband and I are watching the towers burn, and I said, I need to do the work full-time. People need to know there are other answers out there. He said, I believe in you, go do it. So
Awesome.
1 more year in corporate, but since then it's 6 days a week, 14 hours a day, 1,000 people a year, and I get to get up in the morning. I don't have to get up in the morning.
I love that. You get to get up. You don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful. So, of all of your experiences as a psychic, what would you say was the most difficult moment that you faced?
Anytime that I am a past life specialist, and when people come to me about life challenges, not all your lives are gorgeous. In some, you would judge this person as bad, wrong, whatever. And that's when I have to re-educate you. There is no such thing as good and bad karma. It's how we learn on earth. And most of the time people get that, but sometimes the information does not stick well. Let's just put it that way.
Understandable. Landon, you got anything?
Yeah, do you, Miss Corbie, do you think you can give us a little details about how you actually go about doing your psychic stuff, your tarot readings or whatever?
Sure. If you were going to sit with me either at a psychic fair or on Zoom, since these days I read Zoom and phone rather than at the house, the first thing I would say to you is, okay, what's the most important thing you want to get out of here knowing? And if you went blank on me, I'd go Brooklyn on you and go, so darling, what's biting your butt? Because everybody's got one of those. Effectively, people come to me for 4 things. The everyday tour bus, house, car, job, kids, finances. Okay, gotcha, put me here. What the hell? Past lives. Who was I in 1642 Belgium? I want to speak to my spirit guide, Binky. And how's dead Aunt Mabel? That's it. So as fast as I am, I want to know what's important to you so that that's where I spend my time. For instance, if you guys said, all right, we just bought a building, we're starting our own broadcast studio, is it going to work? I would look at you and I would say, and what if I said no and you're going to lose everything and live in a box under a bridge? Wrong question. You always ask empowering. How do we make this place explode, take off? Then I would do an entrepreneur's reading for you, which is not 3 cards that say, wait until October and fire the redhead. It's right. A card for you, a card for the energy around the business, the brick and mortar location, how you market it, clients, competition, staff, finances, what you need to know, and best possible outcome. Thereby giving you all the information you need to make it happen. Remember that an intuitive counselor, psychic medium, whatever you want to call us, we can hand you the toolbox. Here are your opportunities and how to grab them. Here's the tough stuff. Here's how to get through it or around it. Here's the toolbox, go rock and roll. We are not the repairman. That's your job.
I love how you put that. I think a lot of people forget that aspect, that if they don't help themselves, it's just not going to work.
No, it really won't. And, don't. And in my book, The Psychic Yellow Brick Road, I have 2 very important chapters. The first is Psychics 101, the good, the bad, and the Cleos, which is what we can do, what we can't do, how to choose one of us. And Psychic 102 is how to have a great psychic experience, which teaches you what to expect in a reading, how you can prep for it to get the most out of it, how to use the information once you've got it. Because a lot of people think that they're just going to sit down and there's going to be, a crystal ball and I just start spouting stuff. No. When that happens, that's very often what I call the Madam Hoo-Ha or the Swami Swalanda. And you're going to hear, oh, you have a family curse. How many in your family? 4? You have dog? $50 every family member, $25 for dog. He's small. We fix. And then they're going to tell you to burn 400 specially blessed candles at the Roman Catholic Church. I bless real good. Only $1 candle. Or your entire family's going to die in an accident in 2 weeks.
Right.
I saw that happen at a show in Toronto.
Really?
Which is why, yes, it was a 250 booth show, and I don't care how good the promoters are, they can't vet everybody. So after seeing that, that's why I wrote The Psychic Yellow Brick Road, which has the subtitle, How to Find the Real Wizards and Avoid the Flying Monkeys. Because as much as I would love to say everybody in this business is in for the right reasons, no, they're not, and there is no Better Business Bureau for psychics. So you have to know how to choose one. You have to make sure we're professional. You have to get some references on us. You have to realize you take part in the reading too, and you're in charge of your own life. You have to know how much to pay, when you're allowed to ask for your money back and when you're not, what things to run away from, and how to connect. When you've got that, then you can really take the information.
I love that you focus so heavily on how to know who is scamming you and who's not. That lends a lot of credibility to you as a psychic that, look, I'm just here to do what the universe has told me I'm good at and that I should be doing. I'm not here to swindle you, and I'm definitely not here to allow the other people to continue to swindle people. And it just leads a lot of credence to what you're doing. I appreciate it.
And that's a lot of books out there written by psychics these are all the amazing things I did and I'm so wonderful. My aura don't stink. I don't care if you never come to me after you read that book. If it keeps you safe, remember the old saying, all boats rise. The more people have positive experiences with real professional intuitives, the better we all look.
Absolutely.
Miss Corbie, what would you say is your biggest success, or what piece of content had more traction? Like what your favorite part about it?
Okay. For pure success, I would say being part of Robert Schwartz's book series on Life Between Lives and Pre-Birth Planning, because those books are internationally known. And I'm one of the only 2 intuitives that had been in all 3 of his volumes. When Spirit hands you your draft notice and you say, got it, it goes rifling inside you to see what you got to use. For instance, theater major at Brown University, acted in New York, so I know characters. Words are my drug of choice. I am a writer, so I can tell the stories. And I have been interested in history since I was a small child in single digits. You put all that together, and the 2 things I love most are cards, where I can weave the story for you, and past life retrieval. Now, there's a difference between past life regression, which everyone's heard of, and past life retrieval. Regression must only be done by a certified hypnotherapist, because you're the one going up to the Akashic and reading the book. And if all of a sudden you're reliving a life with a traumatic death or, horrible torture, something like that, a hypnotherapist knows how to pull you out so that you can observe it but not relive it.
Yeah, that would be scary.
Right. Now, a retrieval like me, a retrieval person, we're the one that go up to the top of the Akashic when you give us a situation, pull down the book and say, read chapter 2. We tell you what we found, but it is easier for you to take in. Example, there was a woman who came to me in Pennsylvania. She said, look, my kid's 29. He won't make any decisions without me. He won't live more than a mile from me. What the hell is going on? I said, all right. And I did a quick run upstairs and I said, here's what I'm getting. It's Utah Beach, 1944. So this is D-Day. Your kid is a soldier. He's on the beach. He's pretty badly wounded in the leg. You're his commanding officer. You go over the dunes. You pull him to safety. You take some shrapnel yourself, but you both live. And I open my eyes and she looks at me and she says, can you see my rank? I said, oh yeah, you were a sergeant. She goes, he's called me sergeant since he was 3 years old. We've never known where that came from.
Dang.
Whoa.
That's when past lives are useful. Do not come to me and say, I can't wear turtlenecks, so I must have been Anne Boleyn, because I'll show you the door.
Wow. Do you have people that do stuff like that? Do they really try you?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. I've had people who think they were Queen Victoria, Marilyn Monroe, Manfred von Richthofen. Yeah. Now, could one of them have been? Yes, but you don't always come down to somebody famous. We all have hundreds of lives we've done down here because nobody is smart enough to do it in one. Right. But some of those lives, maybe you died at 6 months from chickenpox. Maybe you were a miscarried baby. Maybe you were part of the Children's Crusade in the 11th century and you died from a Moorish arrow in your gut at 12. You don't know.
Wow. Yeah.
But they each count as a life.
And I think people don't think about those things before they are like, oh, I can feel it. I was Elvis. I had to be.
And then I do this.
Right? So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Growing up, I was always interested in runes. How do you feel about those? What's your take on that?
Well, I use them rarely, but I do use them once a year for me. Runes are tools like tarot is a tool, like crystal ball is a tool. It's like, I speak German. Well, how do you feel about Portuguese? It's another language. Because any of these tools will work if you gravitate toward them, you respect them, and you learn how to use them honestly. That's the key. Now, there is a difference between going to some place like Phoenix and the Dragon in Atlanta or Enchantments in New York City. And yes, they're going to sell powders and washes and blessed candles and things like that. But the difference is they're normal price and they teach you how to use it. It's like someone who hands you plans to build a house and shows you where all the lumber is. And so, there you go. Instead of, I have this magic hammer. It's going to build a house in 2 days. It's $6,000. Want to buy it? That's the difference between what I call the Madame Hoo-Has and the Swami Swalandas and real honest pagans, which is people who know how to use the esoteric tools. The one that I warn people against, because it's been so badly used so many times, is a Ouija board.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Highly against it.
Ouija boards, people try to use them when they don't know the basics about ground, center, and shield to protect themselves. And when you just put your hands on the planchet and say, who's there? That's like opening your door in a strange neighborhood and yelling free beer. You don't know who's out there, but they heard you and they're coming. And yes, Jane Roberts got Seth. I think Pat Rodriguez got Emmanuel. Esther Hicks got Abraham, starting with a Ouija board. But I have had to deal with 2 hysterical teenagers who, the first time they used one with no protection, spelled very fast backwards was, I have an axe and I'm here to kill you. Trust me, it wasn't their Uncle Danny.
Oh my God.
And for everybody who says it's in the toy department, how dangerous can it be? Because that always comes up. Usually when I lecture, I go, okay, somebody who has a kid or a grandchild under 10, and the hands go up. I say, you. What's the kid's name? Joshy. How old is Joshy? Joshy's 8. Okay. Joshy comes to you and says, Grandma, I got all A's on my report card. You said I could go pick out a toy. Let's go. And he leads you into the toy department and points to a box that says, my first chainsaw. It's in the toy department. Gonna let him play with it by himself? I don't think so. So it's like, be real, guys. Get a clue.
Yeah, my first rooftop trampoline. I'm just going to get him that because he asked for it.
Exactly.
So, on the topic of runes,
yeah,
there's a debate whether or not a blank rune should be included in your set. How do you feel about that?
Absolutely. The blank rune is the unknowable. It is all potential. It is jumping off a cliff in total faith and saying what's down there. So yes, I believe that it belongs there, just like the 0 card in tarot is the Fool. Same thing.
That makes
same
sense,
idea.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're team blank rune all day.
I'm team blanky. Yes, I am.
Absolutely. I like it. How do you feel on the concept of, should you buy your rune set or should it be gifted to you from someone who has used them prior? Where are you at on that?
Do you want whipped cream or vanilla ice cream on your pumpkin pie?
Ooh.
I mean, there are people that will fight to the death about it's not pie without whipped cream. What are you doing with the ice cream? No, it's stuff.
Matter of taste.
It is a matter of taste. I bought my own tarot deck first. Mm-hmm. Some people say, no, you must be gifted. No, you don't.
If it calls to you.
It's going, hey, psst, yo, I'm yours. Come on over.
Yeah.
And I do not keep my cards in a sacred silk, whatever. My cards sit in a brochure rack from Staples on my desk because I use them every single day. And the cards do not look at me and wobble their lower lip and say, you don't love us, Mommy. So, no.
That's genius, actually. You've got them organized and they're just ready to go. That's low-key really genius. I'm impressed.
That's how I have them at shows. Because each of the Oracle decks, when I get them, tell me what they want to be used for. For instance, this is the Fairies Oracle. The artwork is by Brian Froud, if you remember Labyrinth and Dark Crystal.
Yes,
these are not your
right.
These are not your ootsy cutesy fairies. These guys march inside your head, rip up the floor tiles, and give you homework. So this is only for very serious people. Some people look at that and go, oh, that's scary. I went to angels. So we have an angel deck. I have a deck that is specific for karma and relationships. I have a deck that is First Nations Native American based. This is my new favorite deck, and this is Whispers of Lord Ganesh. And everybody out there should know who Ganesh is. If they don't, Ganesh is the Lord of Obstacles in the Hindu pantheon. Everybody in India has a little Ganesh statue. The American equivalent is when you go into South Philadelphia and the little Italian American grandmother has the peeling statue of the Virgin Mary in the back by the barbecue. Same gig.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful, compassionate deck. So, and as we talked about before I came on, I also have a children's deck. Because when you're reading at a psychic fair and the little 2-year-old on mommy's lap is agitating for a card, and she says, just let the kid pull a card, please. If all you have is your tarot deck, what are you going to do if the kid pulls this? And you go, oh, look, Muffin, death. So you have the pretty kitty and puppy cards, and the kid pulls a card and is happy, sits back with a coloring book, and you can finish your reading for the kid's mom. There's method to all of this.
Absolutely. So what would you say is the worst question that someone's come in and presented to you that just made you say, you know what? Nope, we're done here. Get out of my face.
That's called remote spying. And I use this story. The woman came in and said, I want to know where my husband is sleeping with his mistress. I said, I'm sorry, that's remote spying. Oh, well, how many people has he slept with? I'm sorry, Mrs. McAllister, but that's remote spying. God, you're worthless. All right, is he sick? Is he going to die soon and leave me his money? And I turned to my front person and said, Laura, I'm not connecting with the Mrs. McAllister. Please give her money back. And I didn't suggest where else she could go.
Ooh.
But no. Remote spying is John and Mary are dating. They can ask about each other. They split up. John can't ask about Mary. Mary can't ask about John. No longer their business.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only exception is parents may spy on their children any way they can. But remember, if your parents come in, that's the same deal. Don't come to me and complain.
Oh, and usually if it's a parent, I would assume that's coming from a place of love and not a place of, something off.
Yes. And some people have said, well, the parent should just talk to the kid. Right. So, Johnny, I found paraphernalia in your room. How long have you been doing heroin? No, the mother is not going to ask that. So sometimes they will come to an intuitive counselor and say, what are you seeing?
Yeah.
Right. What would you say is the best time of day you do your best work?
After coffee.
I love it.
I admit that I am someone who does tend to shut down after nightfall. That's why I love summer hours. But so I do my best, I think, from 10 in the morning to about 4 in the afternoon. But I work 9 to 5 and then 7 to 9, 5 or 6 days a week. So it's a full day.
Yeah, I started to say it seems like, and that's another thing I think lends credence to the fact that you are serious about what you do, is how much effort you put into it. It's not just, I guess today's the day, I'm just going to go into work. No, you put your all into it. 14 hours. You wouldn't do it if you weren't serious,
I've had my website since 2000, but that's why I wrote this. You've Got the Magic, Who Needs a Genie? An A-lister's guide to holistic expo success, because I'm 68. I was on the road for 18 years, 45 weekends a year. My nickname was the Travel Channel. But at 68, you can't do that. You don't have the stamina you did at 48. But why should everybody else reinvent the wheel? That's crazy. One of the things that a lot of other intuitive colleagues finds strange about me is at a show, I'll go look for the rookies and I'll introduce myself. I'll see how they are. I'll bring them over to my desk. I'll show them what I do. I'll show them how I do it. I'll give them examples of my rack cards and business cards and say, here, this may springboard some ideas. The only thing that you're not allowed to do is use my words.
Right.
The only time that happened, it was with someone that I really liked and respected. She was a great animal communicator, but she plagiarized my website for hers. That was that. You don't steal my heart. And like I said, words are my drug of choice.
See, I like how you put it too, because I'm a journeyman wireman, and anytime I find the new guys or new apprentices on the job or whatever, I love to go talk to them, be like, hey guys, look, I love that you're here. Here's some things that you might want to try out. If you have any problems, come talk to me. If you don't feel comfortable, and I'll do the best I can to give you the answers, and I'll do the best I can if I don't have the answers to get the answers for you.
That's right.
I just make sure that
we're elders in our field,
right?
And that's what we need to do. Some psychics say, but they're going to take readings from you. And I laugh. I say, look, I don't care if this kid is a genius, but they've only been doing it 5 years. I've been doing it 10 times as long, and I've got the rep, and there's nobody out there like me. So my people will come to me, and their people will go to them.
What would you say you like most about your profession?
It combines everything that I've ever done that I love. Acting, sure. When I do lectures on stage, absolutely. Writing, I've written 3 books. History, I get to do the past life stuff. Travel, I was a Hilton Diamond before my back went out on me. And I'm making a difference in people's lives. And I teach them that they've got their own answers. I teach them the examined life, which is key. What's the examined life? This thing is happening and it sucks and I don't want it, but I can't escape it. First question, what am I going to learn from it? Second, for me, how do I teach with it? And then next. I've done the cancer dance 3 times, but I don't introduce myself. Hi, I'm Corbie and I had cancer.
Right.
A lot of people do that. that's their whole identity. Well, look,
I was about to say
I
it
was
becomes their personality.
right. I was the Betty Crocker homemaker of tomorrow for New Jersey in 1973. I
Nice.
was, but I don't introduce myself like that. Oh, it was amazing because our trip, our big prize trip was to Washington, D.C., and it was the middle of Watergate, baby. Talk about history. We couldn't get into the White House because things were happening. So
Yeah, things.
Yeah. Well, off of that note, I'd like to ask, what is your life's motto?
Well, I have a motto and I have a sentence of passion, and they're two very different things. The motto is what you say to yourself in the mirror every morning to get going. Your sentence of passion is not who you are or what you do or even how you do it. It's your vapor trail. So when you go skidding into heaven on bald tires and fumes in the tank and God hands you a beer and says, so, you get to say, I did this. Isn't it cool? So my motto, to live the examined life, but my very favorite one is a direct quote from Robert Heinlein's book, Time Enough for Love. Moderation is for monks. Take big bites. My sentence of passion is cross the bridge from fear to fearlessness and fly. When I could take somebody from point A to point B, they thought they couldn't make it, whack them on their shoulders, say, here are your wings, you don't need a flight plan, get, I am living my bliss. And I've done it in every single job I've ever had. It's not the job, it's who you are in the job.
That's a great sentencing. Oh man, I wasn't prepared for more than one question at a time here.
Look, guys, you got to realize in the past 10 years, I've done between 300 and 400 podcasts. I love coming on somebody's show and getting to shoot my mouth off to total strangers for 30 to 60 minutes. So there's nothing you can ask me pretty much that I can't already answer. All right.
Well,
so have fun.
We love to shoot their mouths off too. So you're in the right place.
Good.
Our whole concept for the tavern, from the very beginning, people told us, oh, you need to niche down. You need to find what your niche is. And I didn't want that. I didn't want to do that. So the concept for the tavern was born out of, you just busted your ass at work all day. You're tired. Your social battery is depleted. But you want interaction. You want social engagement. But you don't want to go out to the bar. You don't want to go out with your friends. You want to sit in your comfortable chair. You want to have a sip of your drink, whatever it is that you do to relax. So you come hang out at the tavern. You don't know who's going to be on the show. You don't know what we're going to get into, but you know you're welcome and you're going to have a good time. Even if it's just for 30 minutes, even if it's just for an hour for your night, but it's our way to help you unwind and be comfortable.
It makes sense to me.
So
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, man.
No, you go ahead. I already asked the last question. So.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask, could you give us a demonstration tonight? Is there something that you would be able to do?
Can.
I don't want to...
I will not do mediumship because A, I'm not dial-a-dead, and B, I do not censor what I get. Now, let me ask you, is this show PG, R, or X?
We are a tavern, so imagine if you walked into the bar, what you get is what you get.
Okay. Yeah, we had a few guests from a sex podcast come into our show and had a whole spiel on it. So
3-hour talk about polygamy.
This is not going to be as bad, but the reason I do not do mediumship publicly is because I do not censor what I get. It comes straight through. And so years ago here in upstate New York, there was a biracial same-gender couple. The black partner had died. Her white widow wanted to speak to her. Now, those of you who are looking at this say that this is a face from Cherry Hill, New Jersey, grew up a nice Jewish kid. I had manners. What came floating out of my mouth in flawless urban ebonics was, well, shit, it ain't my white bitch. And I'm going, oh my God. But the woman in front of me was laughing and nodding because that is the phrase that her partner, Isabel, used every time she walked in the house after a business trip.
Right.
Now,
amazing.
You can't do that on stage. You cannot, not with this face. And if my ego had been so involved, I can't say that, I would have fudged it, or maybe I wouldn't have given that at all, and she wouldn't have had that concrete proof. So for me, mediumship is absolutely private. Cards, on the other hand, you ask the question, and if you're willing to have it answered live, I'm going. So what do you want to know?
Ooh. Landon?
Wait, see, you can't put me on the spot because I always freak out and I go blank.
What's biting your butt, Landon?
What's biting my butt? Oh, there's a lot biting my butt.
Choose one.
Will I be successful this year? I don't.
Okay, wrong question. Because what if I said no? So it's always how. How can I make sure I'm successful this year?
Thank you.
Now, that's part of being a certified tarot master. Is we teach people how to ask the right questions. We know how to reformat them to get them the answers they really want. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull 4 cards from tarot. Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and see what that runs. But that won't be the only deck I use. Okay, for this I need glasses. All right, physical, material. The 8 of Cups. The beer is flat, the wine is sour, the water is dirty. There is no more nourishment in those cups. You got to don the cloak of your passion, lean on the staff of your will, and say, that's a hell of a road ahead, but that's where I need to go. This is a year that you need to get rid of everything that no longer works for you without guilt. Mentally, hopefully there is one very smart woman in your life who knows how to cut right down the middle and say, good, bad, truth, bullshit, keep it, dump it, because she's a very good advisor for you. You need to be analytical in your head. Emotionally, the Fool card. Now, the Fool is not the stupid person, it's the exuberant rookie. Here's your allegory. He holds a rose. You grab what you're passionate about. He's carrying a hobo bag. You carry very little emotional baggage, and the dog with him says you only tell those who are loyal what you're going to do. Then you can cross mountains and fly. Spiritually, slow growth but deep roots. This is going to be a year when things begin to coalesce for you spiritually. You may shift around some of the blocks to see what you think, what you still believe. Okay? So, will you be successful? It depends on how well you use those 4 topics. Now, I also want to take a look. Who wants to play? Okay. This is the Osho Zen deck. It's a very philosophical deck, and I'll usually pull 3 from here. Number 1, isolation. You can't do it yourself this year. You can't. You are going to have to find a way to drop some of your barriers and find new people with new ideas. 2, beyond illusion. Once you find what it is that almost feels too good to be true, but you're in control of it, so you know it's possible, you grab it. You don't ask whether you're ready. You don't ask, do you have permission? Better forgiveness than permission. 3rd card, that's when you flower. That's when things start coming to you faster, because you stop saying, I'm not sure if I'm ready for that yet, and you just tell the universe, bring it. So that's your year.
Well, sounds like I got a good fun year ahead of me.
When's your birthday, Landon? Just the month and day. I want to do the numerology for you.
November 1st.
11 plus 1 is 12. This year's master number is 7. 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 3 is 7. So 12 plus 7 is 19. 1 plus 9 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. You always get it down to a single number. Our lives go in 9-year cycles. And the fact that this is a 1 year for you meant that 2022 was a 9-year. That was your celestial garage sale. You were supposed to get rid of everything in your life that was busted, that you never fixed, you've outgrown, was never you in the first place. Because New Year's Eve, God took your Etch-a-Sketch and cleared it. This is the year you plant seeds. Something concrete. You want to build an off-the-grid house, you would get a set of plans kind of thing. Something to tell the universe, yo, down here, pay attention, please.
It makes a lot of sense because I've had a lot of clutter going on in the house lately, and over the last couple of days, last couple of weeks, I'd say I've been cleaning house. Good. I mean, even stuff that's like, oh, wow, a brand new radio I had for a couple of years now that I've never used, sitting in one of these rooms, and I was just like, to the dump.
Excellent. That's exactly the kind of thing you do.
Hell yeah.
So, would it be all right if I asked a question?
Yes.
Okay. And let me try to word this the way that I would if I was using my runes. And hopefully that is the correct way to word this.
Cool.
What are the things I need to keep in mind going forward in trying to make the tavern into my full-time job? What I'm looking for in life is to take a passion and turn it into a profession. So what are the things I need to keep in mind to make that dream come true?
All right. Interestingly, I'm going to use the Fairies Oracle deck, which, remember, that's the one that hits you upside the head.
Yeah.
And they want to give you 3.
That's what I'm looking for.
First one is the Master Maker, Apprentice, Journeyman, Master. You have to go into this knowing that if you're not a master, you will be soon. Also, pick the brains of those who are a little further along than you are. Number 2, Tabira of the Waters. Notice she has water pouring from her hands, and that's emotion. There are going to be some fuck-ups. Next, remember, yep, shouldn't have done that. Next, don't kick yourself about it. Don't say, that means I shouldn't do it. Third, Geo the Slow. It's not going to happen in 3 months. You have got to spend the entire year making this work, exploring, feeling it out, tossing aside some ideas, and finding out what it's going to take to make this so unutterably yours, nobody else could take it over from you if you decide to leave. It's your show, or it isn't there at all.
I love it. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That gives me a lot to chew on.
Good. That's my job. This is also why normally you get a recording, because I'm from New York. I talk fast. You'll never remember everything. And if you're taking notes, you're not listening. So if it's anything more than a 5-minute burning question reading, you will get an MP3 from me. So you can review it.
I appreciate you. That is awesome that you do that for your clients. That the thought behind that, I love that. That tells you they're getting real value for what they come to you for.
Mm-hmm. And frankly, to be honest, it's also protection for me. You told me X, Y, Z, and then I pull out my copy and say, no, I said A, B, C, X, Y, Z. Do you see that? Oh. Because we are considered a service, like a burger or a latte or a car wash. We are not respected. I've had people come to my booth and say, okay, tell me something you couldn't know about me, and if you're right, I'll have a reading. And I go, I'm sorry. I don't roll over and fetch either. And I turn my back and they don't get a reading. And I have had somebody, when I've got 15 minutes to wolf down a sandwich, lean over the table at the psychic fair, poke my sandwich with his fingers. You don't need to eat right now. My wife wants a reading. My front person slid right in front of me, and not only did he not get a reading from me, he was escorted out by the promoters.
As it should be. That's just rude.
Yeah. But you see, some people really respect what we do. Some people think we're carnival acts, and some people treat us like prostitutes. This is why I call myself an intuitive counselor as well as psychic medium. It's why I'm a non-denominational reverend, because forgive me guys, but in the South, very often I run into, you're a fortune teller, you believe in the devil. I'm Reverend Corbie. Oh, Reverend, we are so sorry. Is that pastoral counseling? You go right ahead.
Wow.
Yeah, I consider myself pagan.
Mm-hmm. Which is perfectly fine, But no, I have had born agains throw rotten fruit at me walking into psychic fairs.
I'm so sorry.
Right. This is America. This is just what happens. But it's one of the reasons that in that book about how to be a psychic, I have some things called Corbie Gets Candid. And these are stories you're not going to hear. There was a situation. Well, first I'll start it with, I make sure that everybody knows you need a sign-in sheet where it is filled in by your client's handwriting. Why? In London, Ontario, many years ago, I did a reading for a young man. He was not pleased with what I told him, but sometimes that happens. The next day, I found a death threat, anonymous, on my table, but it had handwriting. We matched it up with my sign-in sheet. We turned it over to the Ontario police, and they took care of it.
That's awesome.
So sorry you had to deal with that, but I'm glad that you found ways to protect yourself like that. That is insane.
Right. And that's the kind of thing that little dancing raccoon who's just starting this will not know.
Yeah.
So I need to protect the kids.
Absolutely.
See, that's something I like to do too. I mean, I don't have a sign-in sheet for anything, but I like to look at everybody's handwriting and stuff,
Mhm.
and I can pair it up pretty good. We get Porter John writer, Porter John poets is what we call them.
That's funny.
So for those people that are listening, what is a way that they can contact you to, take advantage of your service?
Oh God, Brandon, they can't avoid me. Number one, they go to my website, CorbieMitleid.com. It's got all of the things that I do. It's got over 100 articles. It's fun to go through. You can find me on YouTube. Medium.com is where I'm writing my blogs these days. Instagram. Facebook is Corbie Mitleid at Fire Through Spirit, where I do my free reading hours once a month. And if you really want to start learning with me, then you join my group over at Patreon.
Cool.
Could I be so bold
Oi.
to ask? My wife is blowing us up in the chat asking if she can get a reading because, in her words, and I quote, "Because my life is fucked, LOL."
Okay. Does she want to give us the question?
Give me a moment. Lindsay, I know you're listening. If you want to throw that question in the chat, I would appreciate it.
I haven't even been looking at anything. I just had
Our
this
chat's been popping off. We're trying to keep this less live streamy and more podcasty, so I've just kind of let the chat do its thing.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see if people have been remarking in.
Yeah, I'll go through a little bit of it for you if you want.
Sure.
Can I please ask to hear something that I need to hear? Scorpio, my birth month is 7. And then people were, what's going on? I'm just listening. They've got this face.
I know. Everybody loves free readings.
Yes.
And what I'm going to tell the kidlets here is once a month, I do free readings on my Facebook page. It's Corbie Mitleid at Fire Through Spirit. The next one is going to be on, let me check my calendar, January 15th at 2 p.m. Eastern. And they're quick readings, but in an hour, I can usually go through anywhere between 30 and 45 people and get the questions answered. So that's where you find me, everybody who isn't Lindsay.
I think we're having the conversation right now.
The wife poked her head in to be like, I don't know how to ask the question. So like, that's on you, baby. I don't.
Lindsay, Lindsay, darling, what's biting your butt? That's how you answer the question. What's biting your butt? You tell me that, and we'll see what I can do.
And she said, what will this year hold?
Hey, Lindsay, a lot of people ask that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull 4 cards for you, and we're going to do it by quarters. So the first card is January, February, March. Second is April, May, June. Third is July, August, September. Fourth is October, November, and December. Okay? January, February, and March. It's victory through teamwork. What that means is if you've got a passion project, bring people in who believe in you and love you and want to raise the bar on this. First 3 months are for your passion project. April, May, June. Now, this is the wishes fulfilled card, darling, but it does have a secondary meaning, which is be careful what you wish for, because you're going to get it. The universe is a short order cook with no imagination, so order right the first time. That's April, May, June. July, August, September, self-growth and self-improvement. Any kind of seminars, extra work, extra learning you want to do, third quarter of the year is best. October, November, December. If you do any traveling, that's when you do it because the world opens up to you. So it looks like it's going to be a pretty good year.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
For the people in the chat, I want to apologize. It's not that we want to ignore the chat doing a live show. There is a tendency for people to expect free readings when speaking with a psychic medium, and I just wanted to avoid a bunch of I want a readings. We weren't ignoring the chat in a bad way, just out of respect for Corbie.
If they had said to me, okay, can you come on for an hour and do free readings, I would have been there. But the most important thing that we wanted to do was introduce you to who I am. So you could get a feel for what psychic work is, what it doesn't do, etc. Now, there is one thing that I will do. If people want to drop me a note, Corbie@CorbieMitleid.com, and say, subject line should be, heard you on the tavern, I will send you the first 2 chapters of my book, The Psychic Yellow Brick Road, which are the important ones. Psychics 101, The Good, the Bad, and the Cleos, and Psychics 102, How to Prep for a Great Psychic Experience. So that whether you come to me or somebody else, you'll be ready to rock and roll the next time you have a psychic reading.
It's a great note.
And putting in the chat your name, had a person say they were unable to find your page. They tried different spellings, so I made sure to plug your name in just in case.
Yes. It's and it's not www. It's https://Corbie// all one word.com.
I put that in the chat for you.
While we're at it,
click on that.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any other social media links or plugs that you wanted to tie into this episode?
Oh, absolutely. We've got Pinterest, we've got Medium, we've got Instagram, we've got YouTube, we've got Patreon, all of which I will get to you guys. Can I do it now?
Sure.
Hang on 1 second. All right, I think I can find them and pull them up. Here is all the information. The one that I have that I'm going to tell you to ignore is Twitter. I do not do anything that man did.
Yeah, we don't touch Twitter anymore.
Yeah,
there's everything.
The only thing I have on my Twitter is the International Space Station, because when I know it's coming over my area, I like to go outside and look at it, zoom by.
We do that too. We are in the Northern Catskills in upstate New York. So it's real clear. On good nights, we can even see the Milky Way, and we see that little dot, and we wave. We wave.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Leonard.
Brandon, did you have any more questions?
I think I might be questioned out. She has done so much for us today, and offering free readings, because like I said, I don't want that to be anything that takes advantage of you, because your services are worth being paid for. And I hope that everyone that listened tonight will reach out, because from what I have experienced tonight, I would say you're the real deal.
Yeah, and first and foremost, too, I want to point out that I'm not sure if I thanked you for that or not, but if I haven't, thank you. I really appreciate that.
Sure.
One question I have that I like to say usually at the end of our show is, what's one question that you wish we would have asked you, and then how would you have answered that question?
Can everybody do what you can do? And the answer is hell yes. I have didn't turn down. I lost a reality show because they wanted to say how I could do what nobody else could do, and I was so unique. And I kept saying, that's a lie. All my life I've said, you can do what I do. We're all wired the same way. And they shrugged their shoulders, and they went for somebody like Thomas John, the seatbelt psychic. And everybody on his show was a paid actress anyway. So that's the key. Guys, we are all wired the same way. You can do what I do. And in order to start, I'm going to tell you, and no, it's not my book, but this is the book that I started with 30 years ago when I really started working it. It's called Opening to Channel. It's by Sanaya Roman and Dwayne Packer. It teaches you how to connect with your guides. It keeps you safe. It's great boot camp. So if you like doing what I do, start now. Don't let anybody tell you no.
I love that advice.
Yeah,
my wife did have one little question for you. She said, have you ever had anyone come to you and thank you for anything that came true?
Dozens and dozens and dozens of times. One guy said, my wife wanted a kid and I didn't want a kid. And you said he's going to have twins, and we had twins.
Whoa.
And I'm really glad now that we didn't give up. Okay, fine. But don't ever ask your psychic for the lottery numbers. Number one, me first. Number
Right?
two, if they're not at least driving a Lexus, how do you know they know? I mean, really.
That's I even got words for that. You're right.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Well, Corbie, it has been an absolute blast. I know we went over the 30-minute mark that I quoted you. I really appreciate you sticking around with us this long, and thank you so much for the free readings, because like I said, your work is valuable, and I really appreciate you doing that. Do you have any words for our audience, any closing statements?
We're not gods. We are humans. Remember that even the best of us is only 85% accurate. The only one 100% accurate is God, and he is not doing phone readings this week. Okay?
I love it. Landon, do you have any closing statements for our audience tonight, sir?
Well, Miss Corbie, I want to thank you again for coming on the show. I think it's great what you do. You know, I don't usually question the psychic ability because you know, a lion doesn't have to say it's a lion. You know, and thank you for everybody who decided to watch the stream. Thank you for everybody who's listening to the podcast. We're continuing to do great things, and we're just starting out the year. Better things are happening every day. So thanks, and keep on stopping by.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, thanks everybody for stopping by tonight. We really appreciate you giving us that 50 minutes of your day. You know, you didn't have to do that, so we really appreciate it. And as always, thanks for stopping by
Stepping by the tavern.